Good evening to all. Today we will be discussing a topic which is the beginning of any criminal trial. In any of the criminal trial, that is before the session court or the magistrate court, the first step is the framing of the charge. Now, what do you mean by framing of the charge? It is also called recording of plea in some of the matters such as which are less serious, such as accident cases or small matters. Now, the meaning of the same, both of the recording of plea or the framing of the charge is one and the same. In 130 check bouncing cases, again a criminal trial, it will be explaining the plea, recording of the plea. Now, when we speak about this, always remember that whenever there is a framing of charge or recording of plea, the accused is explained on what charges are put on him and what he should expect in the trial. So whenever there is a recording of plea or there is a framing of charge, the court or the presiding officer is trying to explain that these are the charges against you. This is what you can expect the prosecution is going to bring these charges against you. So you be prepared for your defense. Now, there are many theories also on this that normally we see in the court that this charge framing is done by the stenographer or the typist, which is actually not permissible. It is criticized also on the large scale because the framing of the charge is a very important part. The court has to weigh actually there is evidence from looking at the charge sheet. It's not because all the evidence, whether documentary or oral, will be produced afterwards. The charge is framed, but they have to tell you what are the charges. So it is not a steno who can do that. The court has to do it, and court has to see actually there is a charge. Suppose there is a charge of 326, but there is no weapon recovered, even in the Panchanama, nothing is recovered. Then there cannot be charge framed under 326, and when there is a weapon showed, anything whichever. So you can, as a defense lawyer, always object. Actually, the charge framed is wrong, and this is what the prima facie. There is no, this charge cannot be framed. There may be 2-3 charges: 324, 320, 420, and many other charges. So you have to find out actually what are these. So whenever a charge sheet is filed before the court, try to go through it completely and see if these charges can be framed. There is a possibility there is a abortion charges by doing forcefully under a 498 matters. But when you actually see the medical report, she was not even pregnant. So this type of charges cannot be foisted upon the accused for framing of. So always remember that be careful when the charge is framed. And you can always argue on the framing of charge. There is always saying whether we can argue. Yes, you can argue that this charge is groundless and cannot be framed. So there may be 3-4 charges. You can always say these are the charges. Or there is some material or evidence in the charge sheet itself, which is so visible that court cannot frame such kind of charges. Now we'll have one article from Bar and Bench. It is a recent article. On the framing of charge. Framing of charges to give reasons, not to give reasons. Revisiting the scenes of Kanti Bhadra Shah. Now here, Bhavana Bai, by giving imprimatur to Kanti Bhadra Shah, has paved the way for a dangerous practice whereby trial courts will now stop giving reasons altogether in orders framing charges. This is little bit criticism. See, you can always criticize the judgment, not the judge. A recent judgment of Supreme Court in Bhavana Bai versus Ghanshyam has reignited the debate surrounding the standard applicable for framing of charges under section 220 of CRPC. The apex court in Bhavana Bai has held that there is no requirement in law to give reasons in an order framing charges. Now here it is always that the court should give notice that I am going to frame the charge. But here the judgment says it is not required. But why it is like so? With the greatest respect to this court, this article argues that the said position arises out of excessively utilitarian reason, undermines the importance of framing of charges, rendering it to a mere formality. It cannot be a formality. and thereby violates a crucial statutory right of an accused. It is argued that this ratio is likely to severely affect criminal jurisprudence and the basic statutory scheme under the CRPC, and hence must be re-examined. Background of the case. The judgment deals with an order passed by the second additional session judge at Mandleshwar, Madhya Pradesh, under section 228. Now, this was a matter before the session judge. Without giving any reasons, held that there are sufficient grounds to proceed. What I said, no, ground charge may be groundless, then it can't. Grounds to proceed against the accused. They said the order was challenged by the accused through a revision petition before the High Court. The main line of attack being the session court ought to have applied its judicial mind. They cannot mechanically just frame the charges and given some reasons while framing charges. The High Court allowed the revision, agreeing with the accused petitioners. Thereafter, matter reached the apex court, which reversed the High Court's decision by finding that the reasons did not be given by the trial court. Para 30. At the time of framing the charges, only prima facie case is to be seen. Whether case is beyond reasonable doubt is not to be seen at this stage. At the stage of framing the charge, the court has to see if there is sufficient ground for proceeding against the accused. While evaluating the material, strict standard of proof is not required. Only prima facie case against the accused is to be seen. देखना कि prima facie भी बन रहा है कि नहीं बन रहा है. Upon hearing the parties and considering the allegation in the charge sheet, the learned second additional session of the opinion there were sufficient grounds for presuming that the accused has committed the offence. The order dated 12/12/2018 framing the charge is not a detailed order. For framing the charge under section 228 CRPC, the judge is not required to record detailed reasons. The impugned order cannot therefore be sustained and is liable to be set aside. Now let's go to the legal position. There is no disagreement with the proposition that at the stage of framing of charges, only a prima facie case is to be seen, and the probative value of the evidence is not to be looked into. The court need not be satisfied that the case will ultimately end in a conviction, but must simply reach the satisfaction that the accused might have committed the offence. It is, however, also well settled that in forming a prima facie opinion, there has to be sufficient ground to proceed against the accused. And the court must actually apply its judicial mind and form an opinion. The apex court itself has said that at the stage of framing of the charge, the court is required to evaluate the material and documents on record to see if a prima facie case is made out. Thus, it would only be a logical corollary that this judicial exercise of evaluation of material on record should be reflected in the order framing charges by way of some reasons and explanation. At least this is the line. This is in line with the old legal adage that justice must not only be done but also seen to be done. In fact, it is an earlier decision of R.S. Mishra. The Supreme Court has found that the consideration referred to section 227 and 228 of CRPC must be reflected in the order framing charges. Para 21, section 228, which deals with framing of the charge, begins with the words, if after such consideration. Say section 228 में एक word लिखा हुआ है, after such consideration, मतलब कोर्ट को सोचना चाहिए. Thus, these words in section 228 refers to consideration under section 227, which has to be after taking into account the record of the case and documents submitted therewith. These words provide an interconnection between section 227 and 228. That being so, while section 227 provides for recording the reasons for discharging an accused, although it is not specifically stated in section 228, it can certainly be said that when the charge under a particular section is dropped or diluted, drop can diluted, although the accused is not discharged, there may be 5 charges and court may drop 1 or 2 charges because there is no evidence. As I said in 498 matters, there was no evidence of any abortion. So that 1 charge is dropped. Some minimum reasons in a nutshell are expected to be recorded, disclosing the consideration of the material on record. This is because the charge is to be framed after such consideration. Therefore, that consideration must be reflected in the order. Further, at the stage of framing of the charge, the judge is expected to sift the evidence for the limited purpose to decide if the facts emerging from the record and document constitute the offense, which is the accused is charged. This must be reflected in the order of the judge. The minimum that is expected from the judge is to look into the material placed before him, and if he is of the view that no case was made out for framing of charge, the order ought to be clear and self-explanatory with respect to the material placed before him. Thus, the court in R.S. Mishra correctly find that the order framing charges ought to be clear and self-explanatory. The shifting of material must be reflected therein. This position is congruous with the legal right of the revision provided to an accused under section 397 of CRPC against an order framing charges. A revision can only be preferred in a case there is an illegality or perversity in the order framing charge. Now, coming back to this Supreme Court judgment, here there was a revision before the High Court. In case the legal position set by Bhavana Bai is accepted, there would never be any illegality or perversity in the order, since the order would only be a simplistic parrot-like repetition of the words. See, the language used is very nice. There is sufficient material to proceed with the appeal. This would render the remedy of revision under section 397 of the CRPC and even under section 482 CRPC against the order framing charges, OTOs. Indeed, the legislature could not have intended the stage of framing of the charges to be reduced to such a mechanical function. In this context, it may also be apposite to refer to the Supreme Court landmark decision on framing of charge in the case of Prafulla Kumar Samal, where it found that the judge is not a mere post office. See, judge is not a mere post office. He has to look into what is the evidence, what is there in the charge sheet to frame the under base of the prosecution, but it has to exercise his judicial mind to the facts of the case in order to determine whether a case for trial has been made out by the prosecution. The fact that the legislature specifically incorporated sections so in 239, 228, 241, 251 in the CRPC. See, these four sections are very important. 239, 228, 245, and 251, which lay down the different standards applicable to the framing of charges for different types of trials. So that legislature was keenly aware of the benefits of having framing charges, a pre-trial filter to weed out the wrongful prosecutions and protect the rights of the accused. The judgment of Apicus and Bhavana Bai not only ignores R.S. Mishra and Prafulla Kumar Samal, and thus is per incurrem, but instead places reliance on an earlier decision, Kanti Bhadrasha. In that case, it was held that the judges only need to give reasons while discharging accused and not while charging them on account of justification. And why should the already burdened trial court be overburdened with such an extra work? Without a doubt, the decision in Kanti Bhadrasha was misplaced following an excessively utilitarian reasoning by giving more weight to the issue of overburdening of trial court as opposed to constitutional rights of the accused and the principles of natural justice. Principles of natural justice and constitutional rights say the accused has to be given a proper opportunity. Much water has flown under the bridge since Kanti Bhadrasha. It's a very well written article, with the Supreme Court slowly rebuilding the importance of framing of charges to the extent trial court normally do give reasons while framing of charges. Now, in fact, the Supreme Court has recently, in Nitya Dharmanan, again fortified the value of stage of framing charges when taking a slight departure from the earlier Debennath Padhi position. It is found that the accused can present fresh material at the stage of framing of charge itself if the material is of the sterling quality and was withheld by the prosecution. This view is in line with the rationale behind having the stage of framing of charges. It is filtering out malicious and frivolous prosecutions without making the accused go through the agony of a full-blown trial. Bhavana Bai, by giving imprimatur to Kanti Bhadrasha, has paved the way for a dangerous practice whereby trial courts will now stop giving reasons altogether in order framing charges. This is likely to have serious ramifications to for an accused who will now have to contest a potentially wrongful, illegitimate, malafide prosecution till the accumulation of a trial. In fact, this even will even increase in the burden of trial courts High Court, which paradoxically goes against the intent of court in Bhadrasha, Kanti Bhadrasha. Since Bhavana Bai relates association trials under chapter 48 of the code, the most serious offense under the CRPC, its ripple effect will be felt even in other types of trials, be it warrant, summons, or complaint cases. Scuttling such an important right provided by the CRPC in the hope of a fast track trial is not only misplaced but also misconsidered and needs reconsideration. So she is Sanya Sood, is a graduate of NLU Delhi and practices at Delhi High Court. Very well written article, this was. Now, so what we have read today, it was a very detailed article and it was saying, see, a judgment which is given per incurable, like something which is wrongly given. The meaning of the per incurable is given in without knowing the correct position or given wrongly is not binding upon anyone. Now here, this is a Supreme Court judge case. Now the author has tried to give a critical acclaim to the same, that this is not the way the judgment should have come, and it is accused constitutional right that he should be given notice what are the charges, and he should be it should be explained to him properly, and if they are groundless, they should give reasons, if even if they are framing the charges. This is what this author is trying to say. Now it all depends how the other future judgments will come. So actually, it is a very good article, as well as this judgment is one really which we need to see. And this court was critical that there are a lot of matters. The courts are already overburdened. If we try to give in each case the reasons for framing of charge, it is 100% going to overburden already the overburdened trial courts. But the another argument to give reasons for framing of charge, that if actually the accused is not explained, then again it will be a travesty of the justice, because charges will be framed groundlessly, and then afterwards the accused will be acquitted. Then what is the meaning of doing all this exercise, completely fruitless exercise of running a criminal trial? So always remember that whenever a charge is framed, try to be read the complete charges which will be with your hand, and try to explain the judge, argue 2-3 lines, 5 lines, that the charge cannot be framed if there are 5-4 sections, 6 sections, or what is the reason? Because there is no much material available even in the charge. Prima facie also there is no evidence. Okay, I will go to the Lakhan. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, may I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are audible. Just a minute. Lakhan, this is rat bite in hospital, compensation claim. Madras High Court relies on newspaper reports since no rejoinder was given by hospital. Let's start reading from here.
Okay. Madras High Court, CV Karthikeyan Justice grants compensation to a woman who got bitten by a rat in a hospital. The instant petition was filed seeking a direction against the respondent to pay a sum of rupees 2 lakh to the petitioner for an alleged rat bite suffered by her in her left hand in government Rajaji Hospital. Petitioner's son had suffered grievous injuries in a road accident and was admitted as an patient in government Rajaji Hospital. Petitioner and her husband alternately took care of their son. When the petitioner was sleeping near the cot of her son, a rat bit the petitioner on her elbow. Later, she gave representation to the respondent and shout the obligations of rats from the hospital. Since there was no response, she filed a writ petition seeking compensation of rupees 2 lakh for the injuries suffered by her. analysis, and decisions. High Court noted that the rat bite was said to have taken place on 23rd Jan 2014, but the petitioner actually took treatment for the same only on 31st Jan 2014. The explanation given by the petitioner was that only when the swelling and pain increased, she took treatment. In the medical receipt, it was seen that the duty doctor whose name and other details were not known or rather identifiable had mentioned rat bite as the nature of the treatment given. Petitioner had also submitted newspaper report of the said incident, to which the court stated that though the newspaper reports cannot be conclusive evidence, still the probability of the petitioner having suffered a rat bite can only be inferred as true owing to the reports. In fact, the medical superintendent of Government Rajaji Hospital, when contacted by Indian Express, had only stated that blockage in the drainage system led to rat menace in the hospitals. The bench observed that the fact that the petitioner had suffered a rat bite cannot be brushed under the carpet and stated to be a false statement. If it was a false statement, then responsible officer responsible officer of the government Rajaji Hospital at Madurai would have certainly given a rejoinder to the newspaper items. While examining a particular fact in the writ petition, strict rules of evidence do not apply, but existence of a fact can be taken judicially note by surrounding circumstances. Compensation. Therefore, High Court held that the rat bite in Government Rajaji Hospital, Madurai was an unforeseen accident, and when an accident occurs which is unforeseen, then compensation is automatically payable. In view of no evidence being provided by the petitioner that she had to undergo a protected treatment spreading over a number of days, court decided to grant compensation of ₹25,000 for the shock suffered by the petitioner being bitten by a rat in the middle of the night in hospital premises. Liability. In court's opinion, the state of Tamil Nadu, represented by the Principal Secretary, Health Department, Fort St. George, Chennai, was the ultimate official to grant compensation. Muthulakshmi versus State of Tamil Nadu.
Wait. Lakhan, you will read little more.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a minute. This is also related to hospital. Just a minute.
Okay.
If you are comfortable, you can utter apathy of supposed to be renowned hospitals providing healthcare services to citizens of Delhi, no regard to misery suffered by citizens. Yeah.
Wait, ma'am. Yes. Just. Oh.
Can you see?
Yes. Yes. Wait. Yeah. Delhi High Court, Naveen Chawla, Justice, while addressing the present matter, noted the utile apathy of the respondent hospital that are supposed to be renowned hospital providing health care service to the citizens of this state. Petitioner on suffering acute pain in abdomen underwent a surgery at respondent to hospital after being discharged. A follow-up produce was conducted for a couple of months, after which are regularly visited the hospital. But due to the lockdown in view of the COVID-19 pandemic, a follow-up surgery could not conduct. Petitioner was referred to respondent number 3 hospitals, where all the medical tests were again conducted on the petitioner. When the petitioner was taken to the operating theater, it was suspected that the petitioner was suffering from COVID-19 and hence operation was refused. After the above incident, petitioner went for COVID-19 test and was refused for the same on the ground that he had no symptoms of COVID-19. In view of the above, he was referred for the surgery again, though the doctors yet again refused for the same and was advised to go back to the respondent number 2 hospitals. Later, respondent number 3 informed petitioner that it had been declared as a COVID-19 hospital, therefore it cannot perform the surgery. Then, on reaching respondent number 4 hospital, again over here as well, he has refused for the surgery to be performed. First, with the agonized apathy on part of the respondents, the present petition was filed by the petitioner. On 19 June 2020, a notice was issued to the respondent in order to find out the hospital where petitioner will be operated. On 1st September 2022, 1st 7 2020, respondent counsel submitted that a follow-up procedure upon the petitioner as an EWS patient can be carried out at respondent number 4 hospitals. On more than one occasion, petitioner was refused for the surgery. Though court again on 8/7/2020 granted on an opportunity to respondent number 4 hospital, surgery was still not performed, after which petitioner was advised to visit any of the 3 hospitals mentioned in the status reports filed by the respondent number 4, with a hope that this court can address the agony of the petitioner. The respondent number 1 was directed to state on an affidavit as to which hospital can carry out the follow-up surgery on the petitioner. In view of the above, respondent number 1 in its affidavit stated that the follow-up surgery on the petitioner can be carried out at Deen Dayal Upadhyay Hospital, Delhi. Bench, in view of the above facts and contentions, stated that it is surprising to note that where respondent number 4 hospital knew that it could not perform the surgery at all, why did carry out test on the petitioners? Above sequence of events shows that the respondent number 1 also has absolutely no regards to the mercy suffered by the citizens, acted with complete apathy. In the name of COVID-19 pandemic, the respondent number 1 wishes to submit that persons suffering from other elements do not deserve timely treatment, can continue to suffer. Such apathy and play can never be accepted by this court. In its parting note, court stated that the fact that respondent number 4 did not immediately report to this court that it is incapable of carrying out such surgery, but instead went ahead and carried out medical test on the petitioner, lead to only one conclusion, which is of having completely apathy on behalf of the respondent number 1 and 4 towards the petitioner. Respondent number 1 and 4 were directed to the compensation state the petitioner with damages quantified at rupees 50,000 and rupees 1 lakh respectively for their utter failure to discharge their duties owed to the citizen. Matter for reporting compliance.
Lakan, thank you. Now here we saw 2 matters.
Thank you,
which were about the medical. Very well read, Lakan. It was about the medical professional Now, whenever there is a medical professional, normally we approach the consumer forum. But these were two matters where the petitioners have approached the High Court with a writ petition. So whenever you are filing a writ petition, this can also be one of the ground that you can always seek a compensation by filing a writ petition. So कभी कभी बोलते हैं इंडिया में लॉ की तरह compensation का. So there is a writ petition under Article 226 which gives a legal and constitutional right to you, and also the fundamental rights if your fundamental rights are violated. Now here both the cases are of medical field and they were going to the High Court for getting the compensation or getting the proper remedy or getting the proper justice. Now this is also this judgment has to be read. So how, if you go on start reading this, you will know actually what is to be done. Because whenever a case comes, I don't know where to go. Now, but if you keep reading, then you will know this case has to be handled like this. Today we read two judgments or the part of the two judgments which were about the medical fraternity. If there is some mishappening that the medical field, we can always approach the Honorable High Court of the respective state, that is Delhi High Court here in, and also the Madras High Court by way of a writ petition. This is what I wanted to say. Anybody wants to introduce today? We have 3 minutes. Nobody wants to introduce in front of the 70 people. Okay, no problem. Try to take opportunity. These are the opportunity. You are meeting 70 lawyers from your field. Just you have to come and introduce yourself. Anyway, who wants to be successful here? Let me know. Okay. Okay, I want to be successful. Let me speak there. I will talk about myself. I'm from basically from Mumbai, Andheri in Maharashtra, and I've worked here in 12 years, totally trial court, session court, and all the trial courts, magistrate courts I have practiced completely. Thereafter, I went to the Supreme Court to give advocate on record exam. I have stayed there for 2.5 years continuously, and I've studied there, clear my your exam, came back here, now keep shifting to Delhi and Mumbai. Now, luckily, we have a online virtual hearing, so I can sit here and speak. I can appear in Supreme Court by sitting at my home in Mumbai. Also, one more thing I wanted to say, advocate on record exam is one exam which made me a better lawyer. The reason, because the study is very vast. Also, I have taken this opportunity. Now I was asking so many people who can introduce, but nobody is ready to take the opportunity. When the pandemic came, I thought I will start making video and start meeting you people online. That is how I know Vandana, Lakhan, and so many people here. Amit Bhatia ji, Swati, so many people. I'm so thankful you people are attending my sessions late in the night. Thank you so much. Good night, everybody.